Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, happy time zone, everybody. This is the Road to Dusk. You can call me Road, Dusk, anything that you would call a friend. I am a dream usher, so I focus on sleep, dreams, and the imagination to help create an environment where people can learn to be the better versions of themselves. While my system and I mainly focus on our streams and VODs, we wanted to get into videos and more researched content creation. For us, having various special interests that focus on the humanities, sociocultural factors, and indeed language, one such topic will be the Conlang that we use for our lore, standard Reim or Reim. Now, what is standard Reim exactly? Well, it was originally used for a defunct tabletop podcast, but due to how personal it as a language is for my system and I, we have been continuously updating it and wanted to reclaim it from said podcast by adding it into our Vtuber lore. As Dream Ushers, or Peganamnedia as known in the language, Standard Reim is considered one of the official languages of the people. In fact, it's typically considered most predominantly as the lingua franca. According to the Ushers themselves, the language has been going on for a long time, starting as a complex pidgin between Earthlings and other planetary beings when they have been given the ability to be Ushers. From the many languages from the cultures and communities they're in, namely languages before many modern languages we consider today, we get standardized Reim, as well as its daughter languages, but we will only be focusing on standard Reim this go around. Now, standard Reim, or Reim as I'll refer to from now on for simplicity's sake, has what is called the Remal script, or Garlase Reimeragod. It's an alphabet that's used mostly phonetically with a few key exceptions in relation to allophony, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now, for the vowels specifically, it has front-back vowel harmony. But what is vowel harmony, and what does that exactly mean? Vowel harmony, simply put, is how vowels are grouped together to determine which vowels can be pronounced with each other or not. In the case of Reim, it is a front-back vowel system, meaning that vowels spoken at the front of the mouth can be pronounced with each other, vowels from the back of the mouth can be pronounced with each other, but front and back vowels cannot intermingle. The main exceptions are I and E, or, as said in Reim, Eb and Et, because they are considered neutral. Now, probably these sounds and how they're looking, how they're transliterated, may be a little confusing, so let me help you out by running through the pronunciation for all of these. Am, Lam, Bov, Bon, Et, Reim, Tub, Sel, Öl, Jem, Piem, Her, Ük, Nev, Tug, Hit, Gan, Ib, Mom, Thi, Daig, Jade, Uv, Shrith, Gall, Well, On, Moon, Hog, Gwell, Oz, Vol, Zij, Zug, and Con. If you want to read these in the International Phonetic Alphabet, there will be a link to the slides in the description. The numbers in Reim can also be a little complicated, namely because there are 3 number systems. You have the ordinal and cardinal, which are pretty standard, but Reim has something a little special to where it has the adjectival. Now, how do you exactly distinguish between, say, the cardinal and the adjectival? Well, while the ordinal, you have your first, second, third. Cardinal, you have your 1, 2, 3. The adjectival is used when we describe how many of something there are. So while cardinal is used to count, ordinal is used to describe how many in a sequence, adjectival describes how many there are in a specific circumstance. But right now I'll only focus on reading the numbers 0 through 10 in the cardinal form. So let's not worry about the ordinal and the adjectival just yet. We can get more into that when we dive into more of the grammar. Nor, Addy, Bane, T, Data, Efe, Fani, Gi, Hina, Ira, Jena. Now, if you want to say these numbers quickly, you can take off the vowel at the end of the numbers that have 2 syllables. So you can go ad, ban, ti, dir, f, fan, gi, hin, ir, gen. Unfortunately, after the 3 number systems in Reim, it only gets a little more complicated from here. Thankfully, you don't have to learn any grammatical gender, you don't have to learn extensive declensions in relation to first person, second person, third person, whatever. However, there is the allophony that I mentioned earlier. What is allophony exactly? Allophony is basically just when you have multiple sounds representing one written letter due to different circumstances. You can think of, say, how we have the alveolar tap in English when we say like T's or D's in the middle of words such as water or ladder, while traditionally they would be pronounced like water or ladder. In quicker speech and more common in American accents, you have that alveolar tap, which I say alveolar tap because in linguistics, it's the exact same sound as the R sound in Spanish, that ra, which is defined as an alveolar tap. Specifically focusing on the allophony in Reim, there's not too much, but they can be very important because they occur a lot. Namely, when a P, T, K, C, B, G, or Q, so most of our stops, voiced or voiceless, at the middle or end of a word is immediately next to a nasal sound, the stop becomes nasalized as well. The only exception is D, which is the voiced alveolar dental stop. Most often you see this with consonant clusters such as degnain, which normally, traditionally in older dialects, in older forms of the language would be pronounced deknain, with an emphasis on the difference between the K and the N, but now the nasalization kind of bleeds into the K, turning it into that nga sound, deknain. Another example would be when you have the end of a word ending in a stop, merging with another word that starts with a nasal. For example, dago mayer. But to say it quickly, more commonly we pronounce dago mayer. That M kind of dragging on a little bit longer because that B becomes a nasal. While this isn't exactly allophony, at the same time it is important to note that the R sound in Reim, which is normally considered an alveolar tap, can also be pronounced as a trill, the trill used more for emphasis or emotion. Other forms of allophony can happen in relation to syntax, but we will focus on that at another time. Why do I keep saying that things will happen at a later time? Because there are a lot of parts of this language that I feel deserve their own specific parts, so I hope you don't mind that this will be a multi-part series regarding this Conlang showcase. Well, it looks like that's all for the end of this video though, so thanks everyone for sticking around. If you want to continue to learn more about Reim and enjoy education on this Conlang, feel free to keep an eye out on our Discord where I have a section dedicated to Remal learning. We'll be using part of the Discord for active practice in Reim, with a special course on the side through a website called Memrise. There will be recordings by my system and I of pronouncing the words that we provide in the course, so be sure to take a look whenever you can. Currently, we have 37 lessons available and planned, with roughly the first half, if not 2/3, already ready to be assessed. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the video. If you haven't already, be sure to take a look at all of our streaming platforms, our socials, and our official Discord server. Do know that while this is the end of the video, this is not the end of our time together, as the road to Dusk will always be open for another adventure. Please have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is in your time zone, as we say. Yora. Bye-bye.